Hey everyone, this is another installment of your favorite podcast, Final Boy Status. I'm here with the boys.
We're installing it.
Installing it like crazy in the basement. I'm here with Luke Haueter.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And I'm here with Lanson.
Ahoy hoy.
You thought I was going to say your last name, huh?
I thought I was. I was like...
I appreciate that you said ahoy hoy. I've been watching way too many episodes of The Simpsons lately. Just like as background noise.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that Mr. Burns answers the phone by saying ahoy hoy is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
It's a good time. It's a good time for sure.
Yeah, I never got on the Simpsons train, so
it's not too late.
I'm still bumming Disney Plus off of Lanson, so if you are also, feel free to get into that Simpsons.
Yeah, do it.
All right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I don't understand half of the world's culture because of it. At least pop culture, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is why the listeners are tuning in. They want to hear about The Simpsons, but like,
of course,
very genuinely, that show at first is a little rough, but it gets good so fast.
Yeah.
Like most shows, their first season is really like touch and go. I've been thinking a lot lately about the show New Girl, which is like one of my all-time favorite like comfort shows. Like if I'm never if I'm not sure what to watch, I can pull up New Girl on Netflix and it's just reliable. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, season 1 of New Girl is kind of rough. Like Nick and Winston aren't really Nick and Winston yet. Like Jess and Schmidt show up pretty fully formed, and again, this is what the listeners really wanted. They wanted they wanted us to dig into New Girl, but normally like a show takes like a season to really come into its own and be good. And the fact that The Simpsons had like 3 or 4 rough episodes and then they were just in is awesome.
Right.
Just a testament to people who worked on that show, I think.
Heck yeah.
Shout out to you, Simpson people who worked on
Sons of Simps.
I recently saw the monorail episode for the first time that famously Conan O'Brien wrote.
Yo.
I had never seen it before, and I recently saw it for the first time, and it was so funny.
Nice.
Like the homage to Music Man at the beginning with what's the guy's name from Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman plays like a Music Man-esque Harold Hill character, and he sings a whole song about a monorail. I was in stitches. It was so my sense of humor. I loved it.
All right.
That's a good time.
That's probably enough about that. Sorry,
audience. Luke's been watching The Simpsons. What have you been up to, Lanson?
Dude, school has started, and that's just been pretty much my life for the last little bit. So
if only you guys knew how hard it was to schedule this episode.
Dude, for real.
Just so many texts.
There were
of
a few attempts.
so many texts of like, about tonight, guys. I don't have time to watch the movie, so I don't think we should do it.
It was all about watching. It's just hard to watch a gosh dang movie nowadays.
I know, for real. Yeah.
This movie is like 80 minutes.
It is.
Like,
it's really short.
Because I fast forwarded through the credits, and then of course I didn't watch the end credits, and cut all that out. It's like 80 minutes. It is not a long movie.
It's not.
And finding time to watch it, I finished it literally an hour before these guys.
Yeah.
Before we met up. That's how hard it was to find time to watch this movie.
It's going to be fresh in Luke's mind.
Life is pretty crazy.
Anyways, if this is your first time, I keep saying this, but tuning in, I can't stop saying it. It's not applicable to a podcast, but that's all right.
I like that it's like your catchphrase.
It's my catchphrase now. It's a thing now.
It's like Lanson with anyway.
So anyway. If this is your first time, this is a podcast about horror movies, and if we, as 3 super average Joes, could survive said horror movies. So we do a different horror movie each week, and we talk about it, we break it down, we go into depth about what the character's decisions are, what the evil thing person's decisions are. Could we do better? Could we survive it? And so that's what we're about this week. Super fun oldie, jumping back to an oldie, An American Werewolf in London, 1981, I think.
Yes, on the money.
Got it.
Didn't even do the research, and I remember it from the thing on Peacock. So
nice.
Lanson,
shout out to Peacock.
Peacock, yeah, the best streaming service of
Peacock.
the pandemic.
There's never been an issue with Peacock.
Absolutely not. It's been reliable.
I have a great appreciation for how they will make a show with anyone. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I have a contract with Peacock.
Oh, hey.
Peacock original by Luke Haueter.
Final boy status.
It's not even the actual episode. This still goes on YouTube. It's just a 90-minute show that's me setting up to film these podcasts.
So you want to do is you want to put the camera right here, and you need the right angle on Adam's face.
He's the handsome one of the group, but what people don't know is if you get the wrong angle, he's disgusting. He's
not have a good profile, that guy.
You gotta position it very carefully, otherwise it all goes downhill so fast.
I'd watch that show on Peacock.
Oh man,
I'd get a Peacock account for that show.
Yeah.
It's like it's a 90-minute. Each episode is 90 minutes, and it's always the same thing. Where like I spend 30 minutes setting up, then I fall asleep for 45 minutes and wake up in a panic. Wake up in a panic, and I'm going around like a tornado.
Oh jeez. Okay.
Oh jeez.
Oh no.
Yeah. I forgot what we were talking
So
about.
anyway,
So anyway,
in
said the
American
thing.
Werewolf,
Yeah.
said the thing.
Lanson, do you want to give us kind of an overview of this movie, a little background, a little bit of the premise?
Yeah, for sure. So if we're just giving you a snippet, what you would find on the back of a DVD cover, and you just cut it out like a coupon.
Yeah, you cut it out like a coupon and you paste it on the wall along with the rest of the back of your DVD covers.
That's how you remember it.
That's how else are you supposed to remember what movies you own? By looking at them? No. You need a collage on your wall.
And a collage of the back of it where it has the description, so you don't have the title,
so you have
just
to
the
guess.
Description. It's like a trivia game.
Yeah, you read the back and you go, oh, which one was...
Yeah.
Is this The Howling? No, couldn't be.
Underworld? No.
Pulp Fiction. It's one of them.
Maybe.
It's one of those.
Maybe. Okay.
This feels like a Tarantino flick.
Royale with cheese.
If somebody in this movie had said Royale with cheese, I would have lost my mind. More than I did. This movie was great. I'm sorry, Lanza, you're trying to introduce the movie. We're so hyper tonight. I love it. I'm glad we got that on audio.
We're not
Good.
cutting it.
Please don't.
We're not cutting.
This is who I am,
don't cut
guys.
anything realistically. I had to edit so much stuff out of our episode on the Vavitch, otherwise known as the Witch. I actually had to edit a ton of stuff out of that, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is a horrible experience.
Oh man, good times. So anyway, the description I would give of an American Werewolf in London is: you got two American college students going on a backpack trip through Europe. They start in northern England, and they're planning on ending up in Italy. But in their backpack trip, they end up getting attacked by a werewolf. One is killed, one is bitten by a werewolf, and then inherits the curse of the werewolf. So it's just about him figuring that out and being an American werewolf in London.
He's taken to London because they get attacked in northern England, and then they get taken to London, right?
Well, yeah, like London's in northern England.
He was in a suburb of London.
Hiking to the suburbs.
But that's... Hey, what's up, guys?
He was literally a block away from Islington. So
It's like, oh no, werewolf!
Just in the underground. Man, this is crazy.
Man, did a lot of hiking today.
These rivers are crazy, man.
I do want to jump in and say, like, if somebody out there hasn't seen the movie and feels like Lanson's description of the plot is too basic, I cannot state enough, that is the plot of this movie.
It's a pretty basic plot, man.
Like, in terms of what happened in the movie, not much, if we're being honest. And the crazy thing is, like, if I watch a movie and by the end of it I go, I don't really know what the story was, normally that means not a good movie.
Yeah.
I can't tell you really what the story of this movie is, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it.
It's a good time.
It's my own personal thing. Sorry, I'm sure Lanson has more to say, a little bit about why he picked the movie, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, I picked this movie. I love werewolf movies. I've always really been drawn to the werewolf story. So yeah, and John Landis is a classic director, and I heard this was a good one, so thought I'd give it a try.
You'd never watched it before, though.
I'd never watched it
all of our
before.
first time?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, all of our first
I
time.
had only seen the werewolf transformation scene where he's in the girl's flat.
Yeah, I think I've seen that, too.
Yeah,
Just
I've seen that around because, like, it's a famous,
Pretty famous.
Yeah.
creature effect thing. And it's amazing. It's
Which
awesome.
is awesome.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I mentioned, so the point of the podcast, we'll talk about surviving it, and we'll do that in a sec. But we want to start out by talking about the quality of the movie and the spoopiness of the movie. We like to rank the movies out of 13 on both quality and spoopiness, just because we like talking about movies and how they are, because we're all kind of film buffs. So
I feel like Adam especially. Like,
Yeah.
anytime I happen to re-listen to an episode, I hear something I say and I'm like, that's your take, Luke? Really? And then I hear Adam talk and I'm like, oh, you nailed it.
Dude, I know. I'm like listening back. I'm like, whose little brother wanted to be in this podcast? Oh, that was me. My bad.
Yeah, Lanson's little brother wanted to be in the podcast. We had to say no.
Sorry, man.
Three's a crowd.
Yeah.
Four's a crowder.
Yeah, we're already a crowd. We need you out of here.
Three's a crowd, Denny.
Sorry, little Dickie, but you gotta get out of here. Oh my gosh, you just did a Room reference and I missed it.
That's okay.
I didn't miss it. I was listening. I listened to you, Lanson.
I appreciate that. Adam.
Yeah. Luke, why don't you give us your take first on the quality of the movie out of 13 and your thoughts on it?
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. So if you're an audience who maybe like maybe you're a little late to watching the movie, I do want to say something about this movie. This is a hard R, which I was not expecting, and not just with like violence and gore and spookiness, but there was a lot more like sex and nudity in this movie than I was expecting. David,
A lot more dick.
Yeah, the main character,
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
his name in real life is something Naughton.
David Naughton.
David Naughton, okay. Yeah. It's David both places. David Naughton hangs full dick in this movie.
Yeah.
And I even read online that like he warned the director. He's like, so there's the line in the script about me being Jewish. I should warn you, I'm not circumcised, and the audience will be able to tell. So they actually had to like use like movie magic trickery to make him look circumcised or something.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that fact was about to be, and he actually got
I was
circumcised.
hoping that would be it. For the movie, he was so committed.
to the part, yeah.
Take that, Daniel Day-Lewis.
So I don't have like full details. I don't have all the details, but like they had to like really, apparently like they actually really restrained themselves with the dick shots because they were like, the people will be able to tell that he's not actually circumcised.
And it's 81, so it's probably, it's probably a chore to scribble that out.
I know.
So like he hangs full dick in the movie, and apparently that's after they realized they had to show a little restraint.
We got to rein this in, John. John, we got to talk about this.
Yeah,
it's my movie. I'll make it any way I want to.
And by the way, apparently David Naughton was the "I'm a Pepper" guy for Dr. Pepper, that famous catchphase. He was the "I'm a Pepper" guy.
Wow.
And then when this movie came out, Dr. Pepper fired him for hanging dick in a movie and being their representative at the same time.
And because of that,
what a way to go.
Luke's going to give it a 13 out of 13.
This is a
for
17
full
out of 13.
dick.
No, I'm so far off the rails. I'm sorry, audience, and I'm sorry, co-hosts.
Oh, you're good.
No, I have no idea what to say about this movie because, truth be told, there's a lot about this movie that should make it bad.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, full warning, like a lot of sexuality, like a huge chunk of the third act takes place in a porno theater, and you see large sections of the porno, which apparently
and it's fucking hilarious, by the
so
way.
funny though. And and the movie is funny. The movie is so funny.
Yeah.
Ow. It's fine.
That looks painful.
It's all good.
We get that on camera.
We did, yeah.
Oh, look at that shot.
Saw
yeah.
that. So it's really funny. The effects are incredible.
Yeah.
And I will have like specific complaints about the movie as we talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just had so much fun that I was willing to overlook like a lot of the weak parts of this movie, which is not something I'm usually able to do very well. So I mean, it's not a 13 because it's definitely campy, it's cheesy, it's definitely low budget.
Yep.
It doesn't even really have a story. I have to count all those things against it. But I did really like it. I think I'm actually going to put it probably, I'll give it a little bump. I was going to say 8, but I'll go 8.5. I'll give it a little bump.
Nice.
I like it.
Spookiness. I
Sure,
don't know.
yeah, spookiness rating out of 13 again.
It's gonna be pretty low. I think there was some tension for sure, which I really liked. I'll put it at a 3.
Nice.
I was much more engaged with the humor of this movie than I was with like the scares of this movie.
Yeah.
But there's some gore effects that are just super cool, and if you're squeamish about gore, this movie will probably
It's probably a no.
probably wreck you a little bit. And I have to point out, like, this makeup effects were so good that they went out of their way to show them off in like really nice lighting.
Yeah.
Like every time Jack shows up as like a specter, a zombie, whatever he is, they light him spectacularly. Like he's in the bathroom, he's so well lit. He's in the hospital room, he's so well lit because they're like, yeah, we want you to see this.
Yeah.
And it looks incredible. And if you're squeamish, it will hit hard. So it's not without its scares for sure. It's like it's too scary to be a full out comedy, but it's too funny to be a full out horror.
Right.
So it really checks a lot of boxes. But I'll give it a 3. Be on the lookout for some spooky and some kind of gross out body horror stuff. That's what I'll say.
Nice, very fair. Lanson, what are your thoughts? Spookiness and quality.
Spoopiness and quality. So yeah, I would say for spookiness, it's not necessarily one that I watched and I was like, oh, I was super scared by. Definitely a lot of respect to the effects, especially, given the time that it was made. Just superb for sure. So given that in mind, I would probably give it out of 13 for spookiness a 5. I'll give it a 5. Overall quality, I enjoyed it. It was just a fun time. Soundtrack is awesome. The story is pretty simple but pretty straightforward. And yeah, it's like a good mix of, horror as well as comedy. I think one of my favorite shots in the movie was actually when they're being tracked down by the wolf, and they can't really see it, and it's just the camera like following them in that sort of fearful scene in the movie. I thought was really well done. So out of 13, I will give this an 8. I'll give it an 8 out of 13.
I like it. Yeah. I agree with both of you. I think something Luke said that I really agree with is it's kind of like it's hard to say why this movie works as well as it does, because I think on the outside it looks like just a B horror movie that's just not good, and that you watch YouTube videos of and you're like, oh, that's terrible, but it's actually really good. And they just found the right recipe of taking itself not that seriously, but still having really good effects, really awesome visuals that are going on, really cool camera stuff they do. Yeah, the story is nothing, and I'll even say the characters are kind of nothing. The main guy is passable enough to be interesting, but at the end of the day, his internal monologue isn't really there. He's just like, I'm a werewolf, oh no. I don't know. It was kind of all over the place. The chick was a nothing character. Terrible nurse, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
The way she's like, I
cannot stand the nurse falling for like, I cannot
Random
stand
dude.
for like the nurse,
the crazy guy from the
nursing
hospital,
him back to health and falling in love with him.
Yeah,
that trope is the worst.
No,
as soon as it started happening, I was like, ooh. But then the movie got away with it. I don't know how, but the movie got away with it.
It's so crazy because he's like having manic episodes of, he's like, I'm a werewolf, things are gonna happen, and she's like, just come back to bed. It's okay. Like she's just she's just so horny. She's like, don't, just stop saying that.
Fine.
Other than that, you're really cute. Let's just do it.
Clearly written by a man.
I know, right?
And I have to point out that I have to point out I did zone out like a couple times watching this movie, just thinking about other stuff, and so they get to her apartment. She's giving him the tour.
Yeah.
I zone out, and when I look back, they're having sex in the shower, and I was like, "Whoa! I missed a huge step."
Something happened.
The thing is, I don't think you missed a huge step. I think they like I
They
also
missed a huge
don't even remember something in the middle of that. Like there was some foreplay words maybe, but it was
they didn't even say anything romantic to each other. What happened for me was, oh yeah, this is my bathroom. Shower sex. Okay. Whoa. I gotta stop thinking about mac and cheese watching this movie.
The thing I'll give it a pass though is it really doesn't need that. It doesn't need a super believable romance. It doesn't need a super believable character with, what do you call it? Jekyll and Hyde thing going on.
Yeah.
It really is about the effects, about the cool horror stuff. And that's what shines in the movie. And I'll also want to say I really enjoyed the actor and the character of his friend as a Spectre. Every time he came, he always had something really funny to say. It was a really lively performance, especially in the porno theater when all the other dead people were showing up. It was so fetching funny.
Hilarious.
I really loved that scene,
Yeah.
especially like the couple that for some reason is not mad at him.
No. Yeah.
They're just like so nice and so
You just
supportive.
gotta kill yourself.
Yeah, but obviously they're talking about something like really dark. But I was
Right.
losing my mind at that scene. Just like they're talking about such dark stuff, but they're being so nice and like everybody else is so mad at him, but they're just like, okay, well if you don't want to be in pain, maybe a gun would work.
Yeah.
They're like trying to be really practical about it.
Let's think about this. Let's figure it out.
They're being oddly helpful to the person that killed them.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and I have to admit, this script is actually strong, considering there's no story, and the characters aren't as well developed as they could be.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that this script clicks and works as well as it does, and it's as entertaining as it is.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, I think, like, we do care about Jack, the friend, and we care about David because of just the scenes of them, like, shooting the shit and talking about girls on the road. And, I don't know. It's so weird because it's like I can see clearly there's a lot of weaknesses, but I didn't care about them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You kind of turn your brain off and just kind of enjoy a good time.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not the best crafted horror movie in the world, but it is just kind of a fun, I don't want to say mindless, but a little mindless, just, sit back and enjoy a movie, harmless movie. I'm going to give it for quality. I always have to figure it out in my head. I'm going to give it a 7. Pretty solid. Definitely isn't breaking crazy bounds as far as I, as a person, am concerned. But as far as spookiness, I agree with you guys that the spookiness really did come from the effects. I thought the creature design was really spooky. I think the scenes that stuck out to me were the ones where he first turns into the beast and then he's going, and picking out those people. The guy in the, was it a subway station?
Yeah.
underground?
The tube
And then
station.
The tube station, and then the guy who goes out with his drink or whatever, and he's in nice clothing walking through the woods like that. Like those scenes were actually pretty cool.
I don't think that guy died.
Really?
The guy with the drink? No, I think.
Oh, he just found.
I think he gets away.
He found the arm. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
Because they confirmed there's only 6 victims, so that's the
Yeah.
couple in the park,
Yeah.
the guy in the tube station, and the 3 homeless guys.
Yep.
Right. So I thought those scenes were probably, when we're talking about scariest, the ones that stick out to me, to have the creature design and you see it, glimpses of it. Obviously at the end you see a lot of it, but it is a pretty freaky design, especially probably for the time. If you got to look back, I think if I saw that in theaters and hadn't really seen anything like that, I'd be like, oh, it's a freaky looking creature, man.
Oh, yeah.
But
apparently a lot of people, like... Because I did watch the trailer for this movie before I watched it, and I was like, oh, this might be more comedic than I'm expecting it to be. And I'm glad I had that heads up. But because the trailer they cut for it is so comedy-focused that apparently everybody was like, oh, it's John Landis. He did Animal House, and this is like... The trailer looks really funny. I bet this is going to be really funny. And then it was so scary and disturbing in places that apparently people walked out because they were like, I did not sign up for this.
Man.
I have to admit, like, big shout out to the scene at the tube station.
Yeah.
Because this is clearly a low budget movie, but you're along for the ride, so you excuse it. But I did kind of have that thing where when he transforms in the apartment, I'm like, okay, they went pretty all out on that, so I think we're gonna see a lot of Werewolf after this. And we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of point of view shots and kind of just like close ups of an attack happening. So internally, I was kind of like, oh, okay, so we're not going to see anything. And we see this guy like running down the halls. And then we see the point of view from the wolf's perspective. And the wolf is like obnoxiously close to him. But then it cuts to like in front of him and there's nothing in the hallway behind him. So you're like, oh yeah, they just can't afford to actually show the wolf because it should be like right there. So when he's like on the escalator, I was so convinced. I was like, yeah, it's just going to be a point of view like up into his attack, and that's all we're gonna see. And then you see the wolf like jump on the escalator.
Yeah,
that got to me because I thought for sure we weren't gonna see any glimpse of the wolf from a perspective like other than like a super close up.
Right.
So like, and I have to admit they were smart to save it up. The most we see of the wolf is in that very last sequence at Piccadilly Circus, and it's really effective.
Yeah,
I like that they saved it. So here's a question for you, Adam. If you don't mind me asking. So this is a pretty middle of the road movie with you, and I feel like with some of the middle of the road movies, I'm going to start to ask you this to get some sort of baseline. Is this a movie that you think you'll watch again someday?
I think so. I don't think I'm going to like go super out of my way, but I feel like maybe if it's Halloween and someone's like, "Man, what's just a good horror movie to just put on?" I would probably suggest this one. Has to be the right crowd because of the kind of harder R rating. But even like,
all right, mom and dad, come on in.
Hey guys,
it's hard to say that. Like,
wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Oh yes.
It's not again. It's not one you put on your family, but it almost feels like one where you can just like sit back and be like, oh, that's creepy, and it's like puts you in the mood for Halloween and scariness, but it's not like something that's gonna freak you the fetch out or make you think too much. Like, it's just a good time. So I think in those circumstances I would. And I also, for spookiness, would give it a 4. So just in case you've been on the edge of your seat for that rating that I was
Everybody's been
teasing.
wondering.
Yeah. So any other thoughts before we kind of jump into the nitty-gritty survivability of this movie?
I feel like we should just get into it because for me, I already know there's going to be so many tangents because I just want to talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not really a story, so like we're probably going to end up talking about the movie during this like breakdown section. So
Right.
There's definitely
sorry, kids.
This one's kind of fun because I think it would be a good discussion as far as if there are other ways to avoid it than what actually happened, because a lot of things are pretty cut and dry. But let's just start maybe with the werewolf itself, because the antagonist at the beginning is the werewolf that's in this small England town, and eventually he gets bit and he kind of becomes the antagonist a little bit to those other people. But let's just talk about it then. What are they up against? Like, what are the strengths and like quantify the werewolf for me that they come across?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think from my perspective, a lot of what we see is just like if you took just pretty much a regular wolf, but it was like really big.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to use like a silver bullet to kill it, regular bullets from a gun.
That was a great joke, by the way.
I know.
Don't I need a silver bullet? Quit messing around, man.
That was a good time. But yeah, so it's just, just this massive wolf that basically has all of those same, strengths, like can see in the dark, has great sense of smell, teeth, claws, all that, but isn't like this supernatural being where you have to use like some mystical weapon to kill it. Like he can be killed with like guns and knives and stuff like that.
It does make you wonder like why. I don't remember what the name of the village is that they like pass through, but it does kind of make you wonder like why they hadn't bothered killing it sooner. They're obviously super scared of it.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy like lives in the town or something, and
Yeah.
they know him when he's like not out on the full moons, and that's a whole thing. But they're super weird about it, and then to just show up at at the 13th hour at the last possible second, and then they decide to kill it, I thought was kind of weird. They seem to have at least a good awareness of the curse of the werewolf, so I was very curious as to why they hadn't killed it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after, I think the fact that the two guys weren't expecting it and were unarmed, they kind of didn't really stand a chance. But once you got a mob of people with guns, I think the creature is very easily beatable.
Yeah.
It obviously goes down, couple gunshots, it's back to its human form, and an easy alibi could be made about a guy escaping from a crazy hospital, which is pretty weird. But
okay. If we want to talk about like secondary antagonists, I really wanted to see some sort of comeuppance for like the people in the pub.
Yeah.
Because they full sent Jack and David out to die.
Yeah.
Like, over nothing, by the way.
Not really much motivation there. Like, that was really fulfilling for me. They were just like, you can't be here. Because they were freaked at that they would figure out their secret, but at the same time, they did figure out their secret.
For some reason, it was just like mustache twirling and you can't stay in this pub, get out now. And even the ladies like, you can't let them leave. And they're like, go on. And they say ambiguous things like, it's like, it's raining, maybe it won't get them in the rain. Or like, if they stay on the road, it's probably fine. Or like, it doesn't matter, it's in God's hands. And it's like, okay, so you clearly know they're going to die, but they face like no repercussions for it, which actually drove me crazy because, like in terms of, because that was an element like, so there are a lot of parts of this story that are well worn now. In 1981, I'm sure they were really original and really interesting.
Right.
But if we're talking about werewolf stories where it's two guys hiking, they get attacked by a werewolf, one of them dies, one of them lives, and then occasionally the one who lives will see like the ghost of the one that died. I've seen that a lot, actually. This is far from the first time I've seen that play out. In 1981, I'm sure it was far more original, but I've never seen a version of the story where they pass through a town and the people in town fully know that there's a werewolf, and then they're like, on your way, boys.
See ya.
Here's the thing about that I'm just thinking of. Not only do they know there's a werewolf, there's substantial evidence to suggest they conjured the werewolf. There's like this weird little shrine thing with candles and a star on the wall, and they're like, what the fetch is that? And they're like, don't worry about it. Did I miss something, or is that like them making the werewolf come and then they're like, oh shoot, now it's killing people and they feel guilty? Is that what's going on?
I had not made that link.
Yeah.
In my head, the thing on the wall, because it seemed like literally everybody that lived in that village was in the pub that night.
Yeah.
I took that thing on the wall to be some sort of sigil of protection.
Oh, a deterrent.
Yeah, so everybody piles into the pub on the full moon.
Maybe that's what it is.
And they're protected for that night because of the sigil.
Yeah.
Okay. And they just let the werewolf do its thing, and then they're back to business as usual the next day.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I took that to be. But it's also super weird that just out of nowhere, they're fully, like, giving a death sentence to these two American tourists.
That's why I made the connection, because they were already acting sketchy, and the movie makes it so you don't like them because they're being kind of racist, and they're kind of being like get out of our pub.
I don't think we can give the movie that much credit. So one of them does tell a really weird and offensive joke about Mexican people. But it's also worth noting that at this point in the movie, Jack has made a casual joke about a lack of consent. When they're talking about that girl he really likes, he says, like, I will make love to her whether she knows it or not, which is a horrible line.
Yeah.
And then I think in just a couple scenes later, one of the nurse, like we talked about, there's a line where they say that David is circumcised and he must be Jewish. And we know that because one of the nurses says that she snuck a peek, like she looked, which is the weirdest and gross. So I don't think we can give the movie credit for they're using racism to make these guys look sketchy. I think John Landis put that in the script because he genuinely thought it was a funny joke.
Yeah. And that could be, I think not just that, but I think they are meant to look sketchy anyways. Like, you get there and you're like, something weird's going on. they seem like against these people being there because they strictly say, we don't want you here. So I think my point is that the reason I thought it was conjuring it is because I didn't like the people and I thought they had done it. But what's your thoughts on it, Lance, and how did you take it?
We haven't heard from you on this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I always I don't think that it's so much conjuring the werewolf. I think that this is just something that maybe they figure, and I don't even know if it's for protection. Maybe it's just if they figure, like, if we can, like, be in a group, that they know that they have a better chance of survival than, like, just being out, especially in the element where you're out in the night with the wolf. And maybe for them, as messed up as this is, maybe they figure if we, instead of having somebody from our town get killed, if we have these Americans get killed, maybe that satisfies the bloodlust of the wolf. Then we have at least another month till the next full moon. That's another thing, though, about the full moon. Like, there's like, when they're in London, there's going to be another full moon tonight. It's like,
it's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Like, I was thinking the same thing. Like,
okay.
There's another full moon?
I do actually have an answer for this.
Cool.
In most werewolf mythology, it's a 3-night cycle.
Oh, okay.
So the first night, it's close enough to a full moon that they still turn.
Gotcha.
Then there's the full moon night, and then there's the night after where it's still close enough that they turn again.
Oh, okay.
They're most vicious and they're most powerful on the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
But but there's a lot of werewolf mythologies where it's a 3-night cycle.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Lanson's biggest source of werewolf knowledge comes from Teen Wolf, and in Teen Wolf, it is a 1 night a month style thing. So
I know, right?
Well, I thought that was just the base for other werewolf stories.
I just thought
right?
that was well,
that was just
but apparently,
I feel like in some ways Teen Wolf should be the standard because I do love aspects of that mythos. Like, I love the mountain ash introduction. That's their weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special type of wood.
One that only grows in the mountains.
And the whole mythos with silver, just it being mistranslated. Their real weakness is Argent, the family.
Yeah.
That's for you Teen Wolf stans out there, you Dylan O'Brien lovers. And by the way, why wouldn't you love Dylan O'Brien?
I know, right?
Why not?
Amazing.
So I guess we've kind of decided the werewolf itself, even though it's big, it's probably pretty fast, and in the case of our characters, has the element of surprise. I would say more than most things we talk about on this podcast, it is very killable. It is very easy to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be an interesting one because we talk a lot about supernatural entities that probably can't be defeated.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how we could. This is an entity that very much can be, but I don't know that we could. Just because...
Yeah, it's a wild animal.
Yeah,
that's huge.
That we're being sacrificed to.
Yeah,
right.
by a bunch of villagers who were, again, should have been punished because that was straight malicious. But what do I know?
And I'm gonna say I think now that you guys have broken that down, I agree that they didn't create the werewolf. It makes a little bit more sense. Maybe we'll have to watch it again.
That would have been cool, though.
But
that would have been a much more interesting idea than what we got.
Maybe a little bit.
Right.
But in for our conversation, I'll secede to that, like, either just for protection or just kind of as a good feely thing. That kind of makes sense. But so the werewolf itself is not hard to defeat, but the thing that becomes harder to defeat and maybe might be a more interesting conversation is the fact that once you're bit, now you're the werewolf. And then again, a Jekyll and Hyde thing is happening where you're in your right mind. You're like, I'm a good person. I need to fight this. And then your dead friend is saying, you need to kill yourself. And then all the victims of you are like, you need. So, like, were there any ways around that you guys could see in this movie than an inevitable demise of whoever gets bit?
Do you have something, Lanson?
I don't have something ready to go.
I have the seed of something,
cool,
but I will be discovering it as I speak. So
I love that. I do that all the time.
Won't be super
I do that
articulate.
at work all the time.
So I do think everything up until his first transformation honestly does make sense to me. That's all stuff that I would kind of be like, I think I'm just traumatized and I'm having some brain trouble. I mean, it's no secret if you listen to the podcast, I've talked about this openly, but I have mental health issues anyway. And to go through an event that traumatic, I wouldn't be surprised if I continued, if that really made things bad and I had serious PTSD and this, that, and the other. So the fact that he doesn't take Jack at his word makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If I saw a creepy apparition of my friend, I think I would also think I was just having some sort of horrible trauma hallucination or something. I've recently been rewatching the Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
And I spoke with one of you gentlemen. Have you both seen it?
Yes.
I spoke with one of you gentlemen where you talked about how much you couldn't handle the character of Steve because, like, he sees so many ghosts throughout the whole series, but every single time is like, it's not real, it's mental illness. And then in the last episode, he's like, maybe it was ghosts. Which, like, I understand as a criticism, but I actually really relate to that in the character of Steve, where it's like, you know, mental illness is one of those things that you wake up every day and you fight. And I'm quick to blame everything. Sometimes it's not even, like, rational. Like, like sometimes I'm, like, hungry and it changes my behavior slightly and I'm like, oh, what's happening? I think it's my mental illness. And it's like, or I'm just hangry.
Eat a Snickers.
Or I just need a Snickers bar. So I that all tracks for me. What tracks for me a lot less is so he has this first transformation, kills 6 people, and then the next day, like, when he learns 6 people have died, he's like, shit, I'm a werewolf, everybody stay away from me, and he runs off and hides in a porno theater until the full moon rises and he transforms again. I have a lot of issues with that section of the movie because I have no idea what was going on in his head. There was no logic there for me. Again, I was invested and I was enjoying it. Like, even the scene in the porno theater, there was, again, just so much an element of like, why is this happening? But also I'm kind of like, this is really funny. So in terms of his motivation, I didn't think there was any. I think they just needed drama for the story, so they penned that he runs away and this, that, and the other, and then he hides in the theater until he transforms. Don't get me wrong. Again, the script is strong. Like, it wouldn't work if the script sucked from beginning to end. Parts of the script really, really work, especially the dialogue. But in terms of character, I did not understand any of the decisions he made. Especially when he runs away from, is her name Alex?
Alex, yep.
The nurse who isn't really a character. She's a woman written by a man.
Yes.
I did not understand when he ran away from her. There's the whole scene where he's trying to get the cop to arrest him and the guy won't do it, which was also weird. Like, I mean, hot take here. Cops are not that patient. I don't think I can think of a single cop that'd be like, move along, whatever. Like, that guy screaming, I killed those 6 people. Please arrest me. Please arrest me. And the cop's like, on your way, son. I did not. That was so weird to me. So I if I'm putting myself in his place, and I guess this is kind of transitioning into talking about the characters and their decisions, this, that, and the other, because now we're in an interesting zone where we're both talking about the antagonist and the protagonist simultaneously. They're 2 sides of the same coin. At that point, if I strongly believe I am a werewolf, I do not understand any of the decisions he makes. I think I still would go to the hospital because I'm pretty sure they say that the police are at the hospital. So if I really want to get arrested, I'm going to go there and I'm going to say... And again, like, the line of thinking is they don't actually think he's a werewolf, but they do think he lost track of time, maybe went feral and killed some people. I think I'd play along. I think I'd go into the hospital and I'd say, look, I think you guys are right. I think I'm having a severe mental break. Even if on the inside I truly believe I'm a werewolf, I think I'd agree with them and I'd say, I think you guys are right. I'm having a severe mental break. I think when the full moon rises tonight, I'm going to go feral again. Let's get me somewhere isolated and like really locked down. And then let's start trying to figure out how to solve the mental health side of this, yada, yada, yada. And then that night, they will have very specific evidence that I am, in fact, a werewolf, and we can go from there. So, yeah, I didn't get his decision to run away. It was clearly just to add drama to the script. So I think first major change is I at least live past the second night because I go to the hospital and I say, you guys are right. Something's not right with me. I think I'm going to black out and lose it again tonight. Please lock me up somewhere and keep me very well isolated.
I think I agree. Sorry, whoa. I agree with you. I think that's the move, and I didn't think that was a good choice on his end. It was kind of reckless and really irresponsible.
Especially because, like, the motivation he's saying is that he wants to take responsibility for his actions and he wants to try and overcome. So it's like he's saying one thing, but his actions are so far in the other direction, it's silly.
Yeah.
And sorry, I cut you off, but please continue.
You're good. And this is my proposal, and let me know, because it didn't sound like either of you had anything against this, but I think once you're probably bit, I don't think there's any going back. Again, unless maybe you're in a position where it's people can study you, maybe scientists take a crack at the genes and the biology that's making this, maybe there's help there. But I think within the lore that's totally isolated to this movie, again, we're not going to take into account every werewolf thing that's ever happened, but like in this movie, the lore that it presents is that once it happens, even all the dead people are like, there's no going back. It's either you're a monster or you're dead. And I think unless you guys have any thoughts against that, I just think that's what it is. I don't think there's any escaping it once you're a werewolf. Maybe there's ways to act with it better, but I don't think unless science can change it, you can go away from that. Is that fair? Do you think that's
Yeah, I'm also very fascinated with werewolf stories, as Lanson was talking about earlier, which is why I happen to have so much, lycanthrope knowledge tucked away of that mythos and stuff. And I've always really enjoyed stories where the protagonist is like, this is me 3 nights a month or 1 night a month or whatever, but I am something else. And so I'm inclined to want to fight for my life. And again, you take it to the authorities, you take it to people, you try to find ways to be safe. And yeah, maybe that doesn't work forever. But that is my inclination, is like, it's 3 nights of the month. That's literally 1/10 of the entire month. 1/10 of the nights of the entire month, not even talking about daytime, that you're a monster. The rest of the time, you can make contributions to society. You can live your life. I'm inclined to believe in that optimism, but I will also concede that if I have the specters of everybody I've ever killed following me around, and not even just the people he's killed, because Jack is there too. So anybody that's been killed by this line of werewolves has free reign to haunt you. I am going to concede that is torturous enough, and that is torturous enough that I might reach a point even fairly quickly where I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill myself and get out of here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna head out.
And
I'm gonna dip.
My thought before wasn't that the inevitable way was killing yourself, but there's
I totally follow.
No way of going back from being a werewolf. Like you're a werewolf now, and however you deal with that is how you deal with that. And I agree with you. I think something that this movie didn't have to do, but it would have been cool for a realization like, you know what? I'm worth staying alive and fighting for this, even if I do just ravage some people. I'm a person that's worth fighting for. And that would have been cool. They went with the darker route, which is also cool to see, that he was like, well, he didn't make that decision. He just ended up getting killed because he decided to become a werewolf in a porno theater, and that's just what happens. So,
and you know what? There's a version of the screenplay where you have both, and it's so much more interesting that way. Where the scene in the porno theater where he's arguing with the specters ends with him saying, like, no, you know what? This isn't fair to me. Like, this isn't who I am 100% of the time. Don't I deserve the chance to try and cage the beast and be a good man? Like, he has the moment where he decides to fight for himself, but Spaghetti-O, you ran out the clock.
Oh, now you're a werewolf.
Now you're a werewolf, and then you get shot. Like, that would have been, I feel like, much more powerful.
Yeah.
And maybe even, like, again, like, that specific section of the screenplay, I was really struggling and just grasping at straws for trying to figure out what was going on in his head.
Right.
And I feel like it would have been nice and cohesive for him to say some things out loud and like, and also it would have made it more meaningful that he transformed, because instead what we get is he just accidentally hangs out in a porno theater too long and stops paying attention to like what time of day it is and transforms into a werewolf, like, because he ran out of time. I feel like that ticking clock becomes more poignant if he's like having this debate in the theater where he's like, you know, do I kill myself or do I try to fight through this? You know, what's the correct route? I don't know that I know. I don't know. Like, there's some, like, just a second pass to add a little more characterization would have done a lot for this script, I think.
Yeah.
Just so we have a little more, especially in that last section of the script, he doesn't really voice any opinions. He just kind of agrees with people. Like, the Spectres show up and say, you should kill yourself, and he's like, yeah, you're right. And then they pitch ways for him to die, and he's kind of like, I'm not sure about that. What if I did this? Nah, that isn't. What about this? And then he just runs out of time. So, yeah, I, like, definitely ways you could tighten that up, to be sure. But that's getting lost in the weeds. I'm sorry. I don't know. Lanson, if you're in the position of you've been bitten, where do you think you go? What are some different decisions you'd make? Do you think you'd make different decisions? Where do you think you go from being bitten?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you, Adam. I mean, there is no going back. As far as what we've seen in the movie, there's not like a, I don't know, we can't hack you back into being a human. I don't know. Science hasn't gotten that far, apparently. And yeah, you do have that element of you're haunted by everybody that you've killed, and, you know, that's the memory that you carry with you, like, all the time. Yeah, that's, I think I probably would have tried harder to figure something out. I would rather just kind of like fail at least trying than just be like, oh no, I ran out of time. Looks like it's wolf time.
It's wolf o'clock.
Well, let's lead this, because I think this is kind of where would be a natural progression into the question of surviving this movie. We've kind of broken down the characters, the decisions, the evil stuff, but now let's make a definitive decision if we could survive it. So the way we do it in this podcast, we break it down in two different ways: making final boy status and making final girl status. Now, our main character in this movie made final boy status. He died at the end, which is kind of what we qualified as the final girl is surviving the movie. They're alive after the movie ends. Die of natural causes later down the road, maybe. But then if you die kind of as the last leg of this movie, you're considered the final boy. So,
yeah, if your death is like the final death of the movie,
yeah,
that, like, of the protagonists at least, that usually signifies final boy.
So, Lanson, what do you think? Do you think you can make final boy status and get to where this at least to where this character got.
I think so, because I mean, it's not like he had a lot of obstacles in his way. Obviously, got shot in the end, but like he kind of was just alive.
Literally, like a montage of him just hanging around an apartment. He really had a tough go at survival.
Yeah.
Day 94.
Wait for the girl to come home, have great sex, her leaving, him being like,
Well, guess I'll read a book.
I don't know, Lanson. Can you handle surviving an animal attack, falling in love with a beautiful woman, having lots of sex with her, and just being bored in an apartment? Do you think you can make it
finishing
through
it up with a porno theater?
And then going to a porno theater to talk with your best friend.
Jeez, this is a real gauntlet, guys.
I mean, this guy goes through a lot. Do you think you can handle all that?
That's a lot. It's emotional pressure.
I think so. I think it would be tough, but I think I would make it.
The thought you gave that, like, just to see the wheels turning in your mind of like, what? Could I?
But then I'd have to, like, I don't know, like, walk around and stuff, and, like, eat snacks, and then lay in a bed. Oh, man. And buy a ticket. And the English, they got weird money, man, so I got to figure out the exchange rate.
Everyone's speaking weird. I don't know.
I'm sorry, can you speak English, please?
Oh, my gosh.
What about you, Luke? Could you do the final boy thing?
Oh, man, that is an interesting question. I feel like, truth be told, of the two friends that get attacked out on the path, I think I'm the Jack, if I'm honest with myself. But it's basically flipping a coin 50-50. Right. And because I want to facilitate a conversation about Final Girl, I'll give myself Final Boy status. I'll say I'm the one that gets bit and lives. Just to facilitate this conversation further. I'll say I get Final Boy status. What about you, Adam?
I think so too. I think I think you made a good point. Pretty much unless you're the first to die from the werewolf before the village people come and Ex Machina, I think.
Yeah, before the village people show up.
Yeah, and then they
shoot
start
it down and sing YMCA. In the Navy.
Just, I'm imagining the village people. They have this whole song and dance montage. Some dudes just laying in the field all dead.
Pulling him out.
Werewolf is just like chew-toying him like back and forth.
This is super weird, and it's a tangent, and I apologize because I've gone on a lot of tangents tonight. But it took me so long to realize that the village people were the ones who sang YMCA.
Yeah.
Because, like, one of my dad's favorite movies when I was growing up is a movie called Down Periscope. It's a movie from the 90s starring Kelsey Grammer about the Navy. And the village people did a song called In the Navy, which I don't know if they did it for that movie, but they definitely made a music video with the cast of that movie. So my frame of reference for who the village people were was through the music video for In the Navy. And I did not make the connection that they did YMCA. So everybody else, like, automatic association, they think of village people, they think YMCA. When I think of the village people, I think of In the Navy.
Interesting.
They probably got time for both songs while some dude's getting mauled by a werewolf.
I'll be honest, if they're still touring, they're probably psyched for the guy in the back that's like, In the Navy!
Hey, can you play
Sing In the Navy!
Do it. I was in the Navy.
It's my favorite.
The official...
I love you, construction guy. I don't know their names.
I know. Construction guy, you're the best.
Oh, you lost your top there, Luke. We're going topless for the rest of it.
You wish, audience.
If you're listening, Luke lost his top. So anyways, could we make Final Girl status? Again, this is doing what the main character of this movie could not do, survive beyond the end of the movie.
So we just have to survive the second night of being a werewolf.
What do you guys think? I mean, I think...
Because it really does depend on, like, what our cutoff is. Is it where this movie ends, which is at the end of the second night of being a werewolf? Or is it, like...
Here's my
don't
opinion. You guys can tell me. I think you have to at least survive this cycle. So 3 nights. Because if you're just gonna die the next night, I wouldn't say you're making final girl status. That's I don't think that's fair. I would say at least 3 nights you're surviving it. What do you guys say? Do you agree with that, or am I being too?
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Cool. So what do you think, Lanson? Could you do it?
Yes.
When can't you, Lanson? When can't you? What can't you do?
Lanson's the man with the plan. Coming this fall to CBS.
The man with the plan. That's me.
What? Did you say action?
Huh? Cut? What?
What? So anyway, like I can go home, right?
Do I get paid now or
Where's my Diet Coke?
Diet Coke.
There's a Diet Coke in my contract.
Have you seen the SNL sketch, which is the short-term memory theater?
No.
So it's like, this is so dumb, but it's Bill Hader who plays like some sort of like doctor who works with people with short-term memory loss.
Yeah.
And he works specifically with people who have issues with short-term memory who want to be actors. Mm-hmm. And the beginning is he's very serious and he's like, we've worked hard on special memorization techniques to help them memorize every line of this play so they can perform it for you now. But then the joke is he's just on stage feeding them their lines because they can't remember any of them. But like I in interviews after, Bill Hader said that like Fred Armisen was messing with him during the sketch. So like Fred Armisen like walks on wearing like a full winter's jacket. And Bill's like, what are you doing? Take that off. Take that off. And then he like feeds him a line and then Fred goes, great, okay, so are we done? And you can see Bill Hader like isn't ready for the question. He goes, are we done? No, the play is another hour in length. And Fred's like, okay, so we're done. He's like, no.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. It's really dumb, but you can find it on YouTube. It makes me laugh every time. Just Bill Hader's face when he goes, are we done?
Are we done? What are you talking about?
Glad that we're giving SNL the exposure it needs.
Peacock,
really needs
SNL, help us out.
Falling behind. Yeah, send us a little money.
We're giving you free marketing over here.
There's never been a podcast that has name dropped so much as us that I know of.
You can sponsor us for sure.
For sure.
Lanson, how will you survive?
So there's one of 2 ways: being a good person and being a bad person. I will go with the good person route. So, you know, I find out that I'm a werewolf after actually looking into it rather than just being like, 6 people are dead. I'm a werewolf. You know, I probably would have looked into that a little bit further.
Done his research. Oh, sorry, done his research. I did not say that into the mic at all.
Research. Yeah, a little bit of that.
And this is the important part.
Now, what the next one?
Let me make this really clear.
Let me look right into the camera as I say this. So yeah, because I knew my research, and I knew my research. Because I had done my research and knew stuff, and I know how to talk.
Yeah.
You know,
it's getting late.
It's England. It's topsy-turvy. They probably speak like that over there.
It's topsy-turvy. They're like on the other side of the equator. They got like the coin that's not like a quarter, but it is. Anyway, you know.
Did you say they're on the other side of the equator?
Yeah, boy.
Because they are. Yeah.
Because they are. Yeah. You know, the down under, the dark continent. The Emerald Isle. In a way, that's true.
Yeah, they filmed Lord of the Rings there.
The hobbits live there, bro. Oh, shoot. Everything you need to know about the UK in this podcast. But yeah, you know, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just, you know, I'm a broken down person. I'm trying to figure all this stressful situation out. And on the streets of London, I'm approached by a very kind and gentle Englishman who gives me chocolate. His name is Professor Lupin.
Oh.
He himself being a werewolf. You know, I kind of, just because I'm so distraught, I'm like, you know what? I'm a werewolf. Sounds crazy, but I'm a werewolf. And he's like, well, I am as well. And he shows me the way of, you know, being a werewolf, but also living a good life and being a good person. So, you know, that's how I would survive the good route, the good ending.
What's the bad route?
The bad route
I want to know.
I just kind of say, you know what? Why cage this beast up? Let's let it run. Let's see what it can do.
Let her rip.
Let's take off the top.
Open her up.
Let's stand on the accelerator. I'm going to be cranking up numbers. Like, the good part is I'll always have people to talk to. The more people I kill, the more people I get to talk to.
You always have friends around. You got this entourage afterward.
And it's like, oh no, I wanted a life. You ripped my throat out. How could you do that? I was on the way to my wedding. Whatever. Night wedding. Anyway, I don't know why that was a thing as well.
Dude, I circled back for your fiance. What's the big deal?
What can I say? You're together. Come on. It was a mercy kill for both of you.
I like how this approach is like 6 people. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers
You
up.
got to crank it up, dude. Like, if I'm going to be a werewolf, I'm going to be the baddest alive.
Give werewolves a name, this guy.
Give those friggin' people in the village something to be afraid of.
Dude, I'm coming back for them villagers. I know that they gave me the curse, and it's time to pay the piper. So, yeah, I would just, just be like, forget it. I'm going to be a bad person. I'm going to be a bad wolf. Bad wolf coming to Peacock.
He just sold that. He sold that on the spot. I don't know who's in charge of Peacock, but they're like, oh, shit, guys, we got to make some phone calls.
My number is 7212345678 So, yeah.
Yeah, my number is 555. Business.
Business. Numbers. Is this working? So, anyway, that's my wrap of how I would survive. Get your tongue out.
I cut you off at the pass because I knew it was coming. Adam, do you think you could get final girl status?
Oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared.
Why did this get so sexy? What the heck?
I don't know. We have a rule about you being sexy on camera. Come on.
No. All right.
I'm about to turn into a sexual werewolf.
It's like when I zoned out and then I zoned back in and it was like, oh, it's sexy now?
Shoot.
Here's what Adam would do. Oh boy. I literally don't know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to start saying it. I think I'm going to leave London the moment I realize that I just killed 6 people. So that's all going to be the same. I fly to America and I'm like, man, where do we need a little cut from the population? Because I similar to Lanson, I think there's just going to be a point where you need to own it, and they can restrain you. They can put you in a kennel. I don't know what they do, but at the end of the day, fingers are going to get bit off. There's going to be, but you might as well help good Mother Earth while you're at it. Cut down emissions.
Trim the fat.
Trim the herd. Make it a little bit more sustainable so we don't have to go to Mars as soon, So
take the pressure off Elon a bit.
Definitely.
He works so hard. He works so hard.
Dude just needs a shoulder rub, honestly, more than anything. So I
think Adam's offering.
Believe it or not, come to Utah.
Okay.
I come to Utah.
Nice.
I know it's a little morbid to do that because all the people I know and love live in Utah.
But they'll always be with you in a way.
This is going to sound really weird, and I don't know how well this is going to play for audiences.
Okay.
But people in Utah are notoriously religious. And I think there isn't a better people to mass murder because they'll be more happy leaving and becoming ghosts, and they'll be like, oh, afterlife, and they'll be like, this is heaven. Whereas other people will have an existential crisis and freak out. So I'm trying to do this as merciful as possible is what I'm trying to say. And so that's my idea, and I'm going to come out at night, and I'm going to figure out ways to not be caught by doing it at night, and I'm helping. I'm honestly the good guy. I'm helping. Years down the road, I won't be popular in my time, but years down the road, I'll be in textbooks, and they're like, gosh dang it, he saved our lives. What a selfless man.
This is like,
man.
I mean, I imagine this is like, it's horrible to say, There's like if like Hitler went drinking with his buddies, like before he was a big deal, and he's kind of like, you know what I've been thinking about lately, and his buddies are like, what? Adolf? That's yeah, those are some interesting ideas.
Let's remember not to hang out with Adolf anymore.
I don't mean to be this guy, but I don't mean to be this guy, Adam. But you just pitched genocide.
Genocide. Get this.
I don't know. There's a bunch of Christians in Utah. Let's just kill all them. Whoa.
I said I didn't know how it would fit with test audiences. All right. Well, the number of the beast. We'll do some focus groups. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be a focus group. We're going to focus group this. We're going to see how it goes.
They play a video and it's me just ravaging Christians. They're like, what would you do differently?
And what do you think about this? Okay, what are we commenting on? The genocide. What do you guys make of this?
Should we do a different people, different area of the world? What's the better feeling?
There's a full
here?
like PowerPoint presentation, and you're like, okay. And when he drives up to like get down to business, do you think it would be better if he drove up in the Kia Sorento or in the Toyota Camry?
Super irrelevant. Should you wear a blue shirt or a purple shirt to turn into a werewolf out of?
It'll rip for sure.
I don't know if you guys have like ever actually been in a focus group, but there are like super weird and inconsequential questions, like where it's like, oh yeah, we're talking about this product, but also, what do you think about this? And it's like, I'm not thinking about that. So yeah, just a super like 3-hour long PowerPoint where they start with all of the boring questions, and then the last slide is like, and what do you think of this? And it's like flames and chaos, blood everywhere. They're like, I don't like that. And you go, well, this test group failed. Let's get Adam in here, and we'll need a new focus group.
Time to eat.
Wow. I wish I had let you go last instead of cutting you off at the pass.
I wasn't prepared for that, so I'm just as surprised as you are. Luke,
what do we got?
Or is this going to be a threefer? Not to put pressure on you.
You know, I do agree with you guys that there's the version of this where you're a good person, and there's the version of this where you're a bad person. If I'm a good person, I do what I said my plan was. I go to the hospital. I go, guys, I blacked out last night. I don't remember what happened. I think I'm having a severe psychotic break. I think I need to be locked up so I'm, not endangering myself or others. Please, lock me away for the next couple nights, and then, we'll go from there. So, assuming they don't execute me on the spot the morning after the second night, I think I survive, and I think I get final girl status by being a good person. If I'm a bad person, well, let's just say there's this certain village that failed to show me and my best friend certain, shall we say, niceties. Would I be interested in walking into that pub, locking the door behind me, and letting the transformation commence? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. What I am saying is that bald fuck who keeps playing chess better be strategizing.
Just with chess.
See if any of those moves pay off. So, I feel like I might not survive the night that way either, but I feel like I'm giving myself a pretty good setup because they are not prepared to show down with me in wolf form. So I'm definitely giving myself advantage on that one. So I have a strong inkling that I could make it out alive, especially because they didn't seem to have weapons of any kind in the bar. They were just hunkered down in there for the night, hopefully to not get killed. And I'd be like, well, you want to sacrifice me and my friend to the beast? Maybe you get sacrificed to the beast. I don't know why that turned into like a Lorne Michaels impression at the end. Maybe you get sacrificed to the beast. So, yeah, I'm going to give myself final girl status, either going the good guy route and just turning myself in and seeing how things unfold, or I get final girl status because I'm like full revenge thriller, like I'm Liam Neeson and somebody took my daughter. Like, can't be held back. And that is my pitch for the next Taken movie, by the way, is that Liam Neeson gets turned into a werewolf and has to go get his daughter back.
I mean, that I would watch. I didn't watch the second Taken movie, and I did not watch the third one, but I would watch that one. So that's the direction they need to go, is what I'm saying.
I'd recast Liam Neeson, though, because...
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy.
He said some pretty weird stuff, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
So that is a 3 for ladies and gentlemen. We're all surviving. Moralities are a little not present, but
some gray area there.
You gotta crack some eggs to make some eggs,
You gotta crack some eggs to commit genocide.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta break a few eggshells
for the greater good.
To fix the population problem, guys. Gotta think big picture. Gosh dang it.
Calm down. You guys are so uncomfy talking about a little population control.
Everyone gets quiet. Jeez Louise.
But when I talk about killing people as a wolf, everybody loses their minds.
That's the show. That's the podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
We done did another.
If you want to follow along, I didn't check what next week was. Do one of you guys remember what the next movie is?
The Invisible Man, I believe.
The Invisible Man.
It's an Adam pick.
Yes, I chose it. Is there an old Invisible Man? It's the 2000.
There's a lot of different versions of the Invisible Man. So it's the 2020.
2020.
It did come out in 2020. So written and directed by Lee Winnell.
Yeah, Lee Winnell, Elizabeth Moss, and the
other
Hill House
people.
dude. Yeah.
The dude from Hill House, isn't it?
Yeah. The guy who plays, I don't remember their names, but the drug addict.
I actually haven't seen The Invisible Man yet because it was on my list of movies I really wanted to watch. And when you said, let's do it for season 2, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it for the first time for the podcast.
It's I like it a lot. It's a good movie.
Nice.
But so if you're following along, watch it this next week and then tune in next week to follow along, get your input, see if you can survive. What do we have to plug? What do you have to plug, Lanson?
I have shocker. I have this podcast, Final Boy Status.
He
to
has
plug.
the shocker to plug.
Got him.
Got him.
But yeah,
we were talking about the director John Landis, and Lanson out of nowhere goes, "Yeah, John Landis nuts."
It's a full moon,
Comedy.
guys. Something. What can I say? A little bit of the comedy. But yeah. So anyway, this podcast is a lot of fun to make. We are so grateful for all the support we've gotten, and hopefully we'll continue to get. So yeah, just keep tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and that's it.
Thanks, Luke. You got something?
Yeah. I mean, piggybacking off what Lanson said a little bit, just he brought up support and. We've gotten some fan art recently that's been so cool. Like, so nice of you guys to make stuff. Like, making things is my passion. And when I make something that inspires somebody to make something, that is like cherries on cherries on cherries on top. Like, so yeah, there's been some really cool fan art recently. I'm going to post it somewhere, I'm sure. And of course, like, we had friend of the show, Sarah Crawford, sponsored a couple episodes for us to talk about our Etsy shop. So kind of her, and like just been feeling the love lately, guys. So thank you for watching the show. So big time thanks. As far as like what I'm up to personally, it's not a lot, but if you want updates about anything I might get up to in the future, you can follow me on Twitter, and I'm sure I'll announce it there. I'm at Luke Haueter. It's just LukeHaueter, and you can track me down there.
Cool. I don't have anything to plug. My life is, like Lanson said, just pretty much school right now. So catch me on Weber State University campus. In the morning at like 8 to 11. I might be.
And he'll fist fight you.
And I will fist fight you. Yes. Yes, I will.
Oh, wow.
Wait, where are your classes at? Let's meet up.
What time?
Wait, we gotta meet up.
Please.
Let me put this in my calendar.
All right, everyone. On that note, we're going to see you later. Have a good spoopy time, everybody.
This has been an Underqualified Idiocracy media production, produced by Lanson Lappin, Adam Bone, and Luke Haueter. Theme music for the episode was written by Rachel Robison. You can hear more of Rachel's music at rachelrobinsonmusic.com. You can also find her on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching at Robel Racheson. Artwork for the YouTube version of this podcast was created by Trinity Rodriguez. You can follow her on Twitter by searching at InstrinBaby to see more of her work. This podcast was recorded in Underqualified Studios and edited by Luke Haueter, with special thanks to Mike Fuchs for providing audio assistance. The illustrious voice acting providing the intro and outro of this episode is Shane Alvey of the Paradox Files voice acting. You can explore more of his work on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching at The Paradox Files.